Good morning, boys. This has indeed been an eventful last few weeks with the return to school of our Form 5s, which has been the highlight for me. And it was wonderful to see them back at school again and to talk to them about their experiences and their frustrations. And our hearts go out to them because of all the dreams and aspirations that they had for this year, most of which have been shattered now. But they will be remembered forever for their courage, for their resilience, for their perseverance, and as the generation that managed to deal with COVID-19 in their matric year. There are a couple of lessons that we've learned from their return, though, which I think is important that you understand. Firstly, that wearing a mask for 7 hours a day is exhausting. It's exhausting because you're constantly breathing in the carbon dioxide that you expel. Wearing a mask with glasses on is not easy because the glasses keep misting up. And if you're asthmatic or battle with breathing, it is really very, very hard to wear a mask for a long period of time. So those of you who are not at school yet, I'm going to ask you to do something strange, and that is to practice wearing a mask. Because when you do come back to school, you'll be required to wear it for up to 7 hours. So practice wearing a mask at home, practice not touching it, putting it on and off properly. The second point that we've learned from this week that we've been here is that the school day is long. It's very long. And so you have to get used to it. We've been used to 9 weeks off. Before then, we were used to a school day that finished at around 2 o'clock. And now the school day finishes at around 20 to 4, which is a very long day and the lessons are long. So you need to get used to it. The third lesson that I think the boys have learned is that they expected this vibe to be there again as it was when they left. And that vibe is different. And it's different because only half of one grade is here at the moment. And we're not allowed to do so many things that we were doing before we left on lockdown. But that vibe will come back. It will come back, I'm sure. The fourth thing is that boys battle with the concept of social distancing. It really is very hard for boys not to touch each other, jostle, bump, punch, push. And that's something that we have to do, is we have to stay away from each other and we have to protect each other. And the last point is that we know that this virus is going to be around for a long time. Until such time as there's a cure through a vaccine, or until such time as we've all got it, it's going to be around. And we have to get used to whatever arrangements are in place for our safety and for our safe return to school. We don't know exactly when the other forms will be returning to school. It looks like in early July, the Form 3s and 4s will come back, and early August, the Form 1s and 2s. However, we're going to try and get you boys back a little bit earlier than that, as long as it happens safely. And so, I bid you farewell in these strange times. It was 11 years ago when I applied to be the headmaster at Pretoria Boys High School, and my wife and I came up to visit the school on a beautiful February weekend, and we were blown away by the facilities, we were blown away by the buildings, by the beauty and the presence of this place. And we started 10 years ago, just as the World Cup was being hosted in South Africa. And to the sound of vuvuzelas at Loftus Versfeld, we moved in to the headmaster's residence on the grounds at Boys High. This initial culture shock of moving from the Cape to Pretoria was replaced very quickly and soon disappeared as a result of the warmth that we felt as a family from the people of Pretoria. And my family joins me in thanking you all for that, for making us feel so much a part of Boys High, and for making us feel like we belong here. There have been many changes in the last 10 years. Many of the changes have been physical changes, changes to buildings and facilities, such as the new hall that we built, the library, the music block, the AstroTurf, the indoor and the outdoor gym and renovations, the sandstone project in the front of the school building, toilet blocks, classroom refurbishments, the IT infrastructure, and so on. And we have focused a lot on what the place looks like and the facilities that we have here, and to make sure that they're always in good shape for you. There have been changes to systems and processes and structures such as leadership structure, the leadership structures, Bush School, the mentorship program, colours and awards, and I've loved being part of that change and seeing how it's benefited the boys in the school, because every single change that was made with you in mind. But the changes that I'm most proud of are not the physical changes and not the buildings that we built. The changes I'm most proud of are those that took place in the hearts and the minds of our boys, and a change of attitude. Because changing attitude takes time and will always be an ongoing process. And I think that we've made great strides in the matter of how we view human beings who are different from us, how we view issues around race, sexual orientation, gender, religion, and so on. I also refer to how we respect each other perhaps a little bit more these days. And there I talk specifically to two things: how the older boys have a greater respect for the younger boys and understand what true mentorship is about. And also how we try and encourage the stronger boy to look after the boy who's battling. And we talk about acts of compassion and kindness that I see so often at our school now. And I'm so proud of that change. I want to thank you all for what you've meant to me, to my family. I want to thank the boys in particular, but I want to thank the support staff, the teaching staff, the governors, the parents, the old boys, the colleagues at other schools, and friends of the school. And then I thank my own family for their unwavering support of me, particularly my wife Rose, who's been by my side for 27 years now. And so my final message to you talks about endings and talks about beginnings. My ending here now and beginning somewhere else shortly. And you going through a process called high school, where you started, some of you only this year, some of you 4 years ago. But you will end it. There will be a beginning and there will be an end. There will be an end to this thing called the coronavirus too. This virus that's affected us all needs to be put in its place for once and for all. We need to give it respect, but we also need to give it perspective. And I want you to assume that you're going to live for 80 years, which is a reasonable assumption considering modern medicine. The time that you're going to spend in lockdown is approximately 12 weeks. And while it might feel like a lifetime to you now, this represents 0.3% of your life. Less than half of 1%. So if the virus is with us for a year, which is what they say it should be, it may be, that will represent 1.3% of your life. So the time out of lockdown, not in lockdown, will be 99.7%. Your time free from the coronavirus will be 98.7% of your life. And that sounds a lot better to me than worrying about the extent of the virus's impact on us. So instead of moaning about this time that we're inconvenienced, we can make sure that the time that we're not inconvenienced is properly used and we appreciate it more. And I give you that example because your time at Boys High is also limited. In your case, if we consider 5 years of your life, it will be just over 6% of your life will be at Pretoria Boys High. In my case, it's been double that. This sounds small, but this is not like the virus and its influence, because the influence of Pretoria Boys High is significant and runs deep in all of us. For many of us, this influence will be forever, because it's been a positive, life-changing experience. It's been the embracing of a culture that's affected us all and has influenced us indelibly and forever. So while the time of the virus is coming to an end, so too is the time of Boys High in our lives, in my life and in yours. Both are relatively small periods of time when compared to our lives, yet both have influenced us greatly. And talking of influence, there's an item of clothing that is synonymous with Boys High. When I arrived here, I wore a gown. And I wore a gown because I was told that's what we did at Boys High. I was used to wearing a gown for special occasions, but here I had to wear it every day. And the gown that I wore then and the one that I wear now belonged to my grandmother. It is the one that is falling apart. It had holes all over the place. And that was the gown that I arrived at Pretoria Boys High in. I tell you this because if my grandmother had been alive today, she would have been 119. She was born in 1901, the same year that Boys High was started. This gown was given to me by my mother at the start of my teaching career 34 years ago. And I arrived at Boys High with this gown 10 years ago. This gown unfortunately quickly fell apart, as you can see, and I had to replace it with a new one. But that new gown in my first year at Boys High symbolized to me a new start in a new place. And as I leave, I will leave this gown behind, the one I'm wearing now, but I will take my new gown with me. And in 8 years' time, when I retire, I will take it off for the last time. And I use the sentiment of Bob Fair, who was a teacher at the school for 40 years, a legend at the school. When he retired, he said the following when he laid his gown down for the last time. What will remain when all these rags of glory have been ripped from us? The answer is the only thing we have that is of real enduring significance, our true, essential human selves. The true self is not dependable on recognition by others. It needs no rewards, no decorations, and no badges. It is neither inflated by success and praise or deflated by failure and criticism. These words of Bob Fair have stuck in my mind because of all the symbolic things that we have, and the gown is symbolic of Boys High. And it's quite interesting that Bob Fair's son, Tom, was a teacher, a 40-year legend as well, at another school in Cape Town called Bishops that I'm going to. And so this special school has allowed my essential human self that Bob Fair talks of to grow. And when I take my gown off, well, I won't have to wear it every single day, but when I take my gown off at Boys High, the influence of the school will remain forever. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. When you have experienced your 6% of your life here at the school, you will take a piece of the school with you forever as well. You will not take any badges. You will not take any blazers. You will not take any color awards or prizes or trophies with you. All of those will fade away. But what you will take with you is your true self. Those things that are really important that you have developed while at the school. And so my gown comes off, but Boys High remains in me forever. I've chosen two readings today. The first reading is actually a prayer, but I'm going to use it as a reading because it was given to me the other day. It's a Hindu prayer, and I thought it particularly appropriate at this time when our world is in the need to be united and peaceful and kind. And the prayer is called, "Let us be united." Let us be united, let us speak in harmony. Let our minds apprehend alike. Common be our prayer. Common be the end of our assembly. Common be our resolution. Common be our deliberations. Alike be our feelings. Unified be our hearts. Common be our intentions. And perfect be our unity. And then the reading I've chosen is a very famous reading from the Bible, from the book of Corinthians, chapter 13, verses 1 to 7. I may be able to speak the languages of men and even angels, but if I have no love, my speech is no more than a noisy gong or a clanging bell. I may have the gift of inspired preaching. I may have all knowledge and understand all secrets. I may have all the faith needed to move mountains. But if I have no love, I have nothing. I may give up everything I have and even give up my body to be burnt. But if I have no love, this does me no good. Love is patient and kind. It is not jealous or conceited or proud. Love is not ill-mannered or selfish or irritable. Love does not keep a record of wrongs. Love is not happy with evil, but is happy with the truth. Love never gives up, and its faith, hope, and patience never fail. And then, for the last time, I read to you our school prayer. O Lord God of truth, whom to know is everlasting life and to serve is perfect freedom, grant that we may draw near to Thee in thought, word, and deed. Inspire us with the love of Thy creatures and Thy laws, that in all humility and teachableness, with patience and understanding, by honest and earnest labour, we may seek after knowledge as a blessing that cometh from Thee. Whether it be our part to teach or learn, to rule or obey, make us feel Thy presence in our several duties, filling us with reverence for the beauty and the wonder of Thy universe, and pouring on us a spirit of justice, gentleness, and mutual goodwill. Thus, by Thy grace, may we so use this house of learning that we may prepare our powers of body, mind, and spirit to advance the good of man and the glory of God. Amen.